In the catacombs, one sees a very early fresco, the shepherd with the sheep on his shoulders, very fitting for a place where one is commemorating those who have gone before us, especially actually in a situation of suffering, as it was the case for the early church. They were safely home on the other side, sharing in the passion of the Lord quite often. The experience of getting there hasn't changed, my friends. All humanity goes through the same gate. No matter how much noise one might want to make on this side, even to cancel it, the bottom line is the same. The same gate is awaiting us all. I've told you before that those who belittle this and make fun of it as though it didn't matter are indicating their incapacity to think straight. For if one says in one's mind what one thinks, one is giving voice to one's mind, and one is presuming that the mind has power over reality. I will make fun of, therefore it doesn't exist and isn't a problem. How thick you are. Sit down and ask yourself what you've just said. And it's out there. It's out there on the media. It's out there in conversation. Even the use of the holy name in conversation is more or less saying that I am greater than God. I can belittle him. Oh. Mostly one dies once. However, some come back through modern skill, resuscitation, and so on. And some have a story to tell. Now, it seems that there's one common experience at that point. It's the initial coming out of the body and coming into an immediate realm of painlessness, which compared with the agony is nice, because the body is no longer in pain, or if it is, can't feel it. However, afterwards, if they remain dead, it doesn't stop. As you know, they start to travel, and they find things. And at that point, for the first time, if they've been noisy, they hang on to what they've got. The soul is all they've got, and in it is what they're carrying. And what they're carrying is the use they've made of time, merit. They can't make any more noise there. They are carried. Their soul is carried where it naturally must end. And they start to realize that this actually was the only issue that ever really mattered. And they never thought about it until that point. Usually, at that point, there's no coming back. Occasionally, the Lord in his mercy gives a second chance, and they come back having seen and thought and reflected. There are nice cases and ugly cases. A nice case, but mixed with ugliness, is the Indian priest Father Joseph, years ago, who had actually been on the way to celebrating Holy Mass not long after his ordination, and was in a state of grace and light and love of Jesus. And he was shown the other side, all of it. And he was given, as it were, a guided tour by an angel. And he was allowed to warn us even as Christians, that it's not automatic. And that even, notice, priests and bishops didn't necessarily make it. He saw in hell both bishops and priests, and he was horrified. And he was not allowed to say who he had seen, but he was allowed to say why he had seen. And there were certain things which had got them there. The higher one is in the ranks, the more one bears a responsibility, precisely as a shepherd. And some bishops and priests had ended up in the wrong place for bad teaching, bad guidance. He had seen also lay people and had seen how many things had led them there, which are right now all over the place. Impurity, all the sins of impurity. They're right there in your pocket if you want. They can get you to hell. All the sins of hatred and unforgiveness. People who die without making peace. It's not a good way to live. Sins of sacrilege. Sacrilege is happening all over the Catholic world this very moment. People aggressing, attacking in onslaught the Holy of Holies with darkness in their soul. Unconfessed sins. Confession is a thing of the past, is it not? Is fecit cui prodest. He did it to whom it serves. And all the attitude of sacrilege too, the physical way in which the Lord is despised, treated as an equal, our mate. There's a big difference, my friends, between kneeling and receiving as a child and standing with crossed arms as a mate, the King of Kings and Lord of Lords, before whom 1 second after death we stand. And he saw also very modern sins. He saw how abortion, killing therefore, led to that place too, and also euthanasia, strangely modern. Also, despite the fact that it's not PC to say so, it's even hate speech to say so, homosexuality can also lead to the other place. So don't let anyone fool you. The Lord is not swayed by PC, nor is he obliged to obey the rules of RTE or any other media. He is Lord, and what we do, he alone judges, not our fellow men. But he saw also heaven, at least a glimpse of it. And the first thing he heard was music. Music. Not rap, but music. Not heavy metal, but angelic harmony. The language of beauty, which the Lord of Lords spared us at Eden and didn't take away. It's one thing we have in common with the seraphim, who worship the Lord with high-powered music, day and night. And in our worship, we are part of that, and the Lord deserves only the best. Now, my friends, getting to heaven is not, therefore, automatic or to be taken for granted. We can help each other. Now, I want to just, before I finish, go into one area. Does it or does it matter not to which body of Christians we belong? Is it enough to believe, or do we have to believe the right thing? Now, this issue is complex, but I'll try to indicate some guidelines as regard to how to sort it out mentally. We respond to what we know, to the light that we see. Therefore, if we see the light, we have full responsibility to that light which we see. If we only see a shady light or a part of it, that too is what we have and on which we're judged. But there comes a point when a soul actually might start to want to ask questions and to want to know. And at that point, the game shifts. The goalposts change all of a sudden. I'll give you a personal testimony on this one. When I was 13, I met the Lord face to face through my evangelical friends, even though the family was already Christian, but it meant engagement with the Lord, and eventually asking for baptism, because I wasn't baptized, we're not as Baptists. But it was then something which started a whole journey. I could have stayed there, and I hope be saved. But at a certain point, it no longer became a mental game. Do you know why? to the local library where my grandparents were in St. Augustine in the middle of nowhere. And what did I find but a book? It was a book of miracles. Ooh. I read it from cover to cover, and what did I find? The Lord was operating essentially in one field, the Roman Catholic field, things which he wasn't doing for us. All over the Catholic world and all over its history, there were things happening which were underlining Catholic dogma. We didn't have that. And so the game shifted. All over the Catholic world, I say, heaven and earth are always in interaction. Even yesterday we had a spectacular case. You know what happened, don't you, in Naples? The whole of Naples was waiting. Who's this? Anyone know? St. Januarius, what they call Gennaro. His blood liquefies on his feast day and also on the 3rd of May and sometimes on another day as well. And they were all waiting yesterday for it to happen. Normally it happens when the bishop is celebrating the High Mass at 10 o'clock. Nothing moved. Nothing changed. Naples became nervous. Mass followed Mass, and devotion followed devotion. Nothing happened. It came evening, and the whole of Naples was in fear and trembling, because if it doesn't happen, there's something awful going to happen. You know what happened? In the last Mass of the day, it was 9 minutes past 6 exactly, and the blood became liquid. And there was a huge shiver around the whole of the Naples area. Gennaro! He had shown that he wasn't abandoning his people or the Church of God. Do you know that when Pope Francis went down there some years ago, he took the phial of solid blood, and do you know what happened? It half dissolved. Ooh. In his natural, humorous way, he dismissed it. Maybe the Lord is only half content with me. Whatever it may be, we are now, this week, heaven and earth, holding hands, holding the future of the Church and mankind in our hands. We are waiting for the Holy Ghost to guide the Church. And only the Catholic Church can do so. Even the Eastern Orthodox Church can only have a pan-Orthodox synod in which half the Orthodox world is absent because Moscow won't collaborate. Only the Roman Catholic Church has Peter and therefore the promise and the guarantee of the Holy Ghost. It is only one fullness of truth, my friends. Whatever is out there, it's only half light compared with the fullness. And once one has seen it, one can't draw back. For Newman, it was exactly the same. At a certain point, it was no longer a mental game. He was writing the essay on the development of Christian dogma as an Anglican. At a certain point, still an Anglican, he stopped and paused. He could see where the light was leading. Lead, kindly light! And he had to abandon all his moorings and come over and cross the Tiber. Not easy for someone up to there in the Anglican culture. But then 1 second later, he had peace. And you know what he wrote? At that point, he saw clearly that the whole Anglican Church was a human institution. That's the difference, the human and the divine. And if we want peace, we have it under his terms. There's only one truth, my friends, and there we help each other, not with raising our voice, but pointing calmly to a book, a YouTube, something which will show serenely and calmly, this is the fullness, and all the rest are bits thereof. I conclude. At 17, I went to a house of a local lady in our parish in Cardiff who had come over from Methodism. When she was younger, she picked up a book. It was new. She got to a passage where it said, The Catholic Church is like a great field, surrounded on all sides by bits of itself. She closed the book, went to the local Catholic presbytery and asked for instruction.